You know, we're always taught that to be strong, you have to be tough, unyielding, almost rigid. But what if that's all wrong? Today, we're going to dig into a really powerful idea that true strength isn't about standing still. It's about learning how to bend without ever breaking.
We've all been there, right? You've got the perfect plan, everything's mapped out, and then, boom, life just completely rips up the script. The meeting gets canceled. The project you're working on hits a dead end. The path forward you saw so clearly, it just evaporates. You know that jolt of frustration, that stress? It's completely universal. But what if our response to that moment is what really matters?
And that's exactly where we're going to start. See, the real challenge usually isn't the surprise event itself. Nope, it's our own internal reaction to it. This is all about learning not just how to get by, but how to actually thrive when life throws you a curveball.
There's this myth out there that success is just about being the smartest person in the room, right? We put intelligence and talent way up on this pedestal. But think about it. If that was the whole story, why do so many brilliant, talented people just completely freeze the second things don't go their way?
Well, it's because there's another piece to the puzzle, and honestly, it's way more important. The real game changer isn't just raw talent, it's adaptability. It's that ability to pivot, to adjust your sails, and to find a new way forward when the old one is gone. That is the one thing that separates people who just survive from the ones who truly, deeply thrive.
So how in the world do we get more of this adaptability? Well, it all starts with what we can call the bamboo mindset. And this is all about understanding the huge difference between being genuinely strong and just being rigid.
Okay, so mental flexibility. This doesn't mean being wishy-washy or not having any convictions. Not at all. It's actually a superpower. It means you hold on tight to your core purpose, your why, but you stay totally open to changing the how. It's about being able to take in new info and adjust your game plan without ever losing sight of the prize.
And this comparison just makes it crystal clear. On one side, you've got rigidity, which is like brittle glass. It fights against any kind of change. It obsesses over the problems, and it has this deep need to control everything. And what happens to glass when you put it under too much pressure? It shatters. But on the other side, you have the bamboo. It adapts, it focuses on finding solutions, and it has the wisdom to let go. So when the storm comes, it just bends.
This right here gets to the very heart of it. We've been taught to think that control equals strength, but real wisdom, real power, is knowing what you can't control and having the grace to move with it instead of against it. And let's be super clear on this point. Being flexible does not mean you're abandoning your goals or your core values. Not at all. It just means you're creative and smart enough to find a new route to get where you're going. The destination can absolutely stay the same, even if the journey takes an unexpected detour.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do we actually put it into practice in our real lives? Well, let's open up our flexibility toolkit and look at a few habits you can literally start building today.
This is the foundation. It's the big mindset shift. It is so easy to get stuck just staring at the problem, right? Replaying what went wrong over and over. But a flexible mind doesn't live there. It immediately jumps to, okay, so what now? What's the way forward from here? That pivot from problem to solution, that's everything.
So here are 3 practical ways to make that happen. First, you gotta reframe things. Instead of seeing an obstacle and thinking failure, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Turn those roadblocks into lessons. Second, consciously embrace new paths. You have to accept that a detour isn't a dead end. It might actually lead you somewhere even better. And third, actively stay open-minded. Fight that little voice that says, but we've always done it this way. Instead, make a real effort to listen to new ideas.
I love this because it really hits the nail on the head. Look, change is one of the few guarantees in life. It is going to happen, whether we like it or not. But our growth? That's not a guarantee. That part is a choice we have to make every single day. So, what's the reward for doing all this work? Why should we bother trying to build this flexible mindset? Let's talk about the incredible payoff that comes when you learn to flow with life instead of constantly fighting it.
And the benefits are real. You can actually feel them. When you're more flexible, you just get better at solving problems because you're open to more than one solution. Your relationships improve because you're less controlling and more understanding. And, no surprise, all of this leads to a life with a whole lot more happiness and a genuine sense of calm.
Ultimately, when you really get this, your entire perspective just shifts. Challenges stop being scary threats and start looking more like opportunities. Setbacks aren't just failures anymore, they're valuable lessons. You start to see every single change, big or small, as a chance to get stronger and more resilient.
And this is really the whole thing in a nutshell. Think about a river that comes up against a huge boulder. It doesn't waste its energy trying to smash right through it. No, it just flows around it and keeps going. That is the essence of resilience. The more you learn to flow, the more unbreakable you become.
So I want to leave you with a question to think about. Look at your life right now. Your work, your relationships, your personal goals. Where is there a spot where you feel that tension, where you're fighting against how things are? And what would happen if you chose, just for this week, to flow instead of fight? What might change?